This video is designed to help instruct on how to use Plyocare balls and run a preseason slash in-season throwing program for those interested in following something a little bit more structured and working towards the goal of having our arms ready to go for the spring or summer or whenever season we're about to start, and throw a little bit harder by the time we get there. So first thing I want to cover is kind of my background a little bit. So I'm Ryan Bliss. I'm the pitching coach at Bryant Stratton at Ohio. I've been following driveline sort of philosophies, drive-on drills for the last 3 or 4 years now, working with kids kind of on my own in the private sector. I run Mavericks Fast Pitch, which is why you're probably watching this video. I wanted to bring some of the throwing program side of baseball to softball because I feel like it hasn't quite caught on yet in the softball world. This is something that all of my baseball guys have been exposed to, have some sort of familiarity with, using Plyocare balls and J-bands and shoulder tubes and those kinds of things, which are all things we'll go over today. But the softball girls seem to be a little bit less exposed. So I kind of want to bridge the gap there, I guess, as far as the knowledge goes with using a throwing program and using some of the equipment I'm going to cover today. So I already mentioned Driveline. I don't work for them, right? I have passed their certifications their certification of the foundations of pitching. I went out there and did the whole in-class thing for a couple of days and learned a ton. I've learned a ton of stuff from them over the last 3 or 4 years, but I don't work for them, right? So if you are somebody who's familiar with their drills, their programs, you'll see a lot of similarities in what I'm going to talk about today. But this is how I've found best that I can teach it, right? So how I've seen success working with kids and instructing kind of the same similarities of drills, right? But not exactly the same. So you'll see, like the Bravo drill we're going to go over here soon. You'll see it and be like, they do pivot pickoffs instead. Well, this is just kind of my take on a pivot pickoff. We're trying to do the same sort of thing with different names for the drills. So again, I don't work for Driveline. I get a lot of inspiration from them, as well as people like Austin Wasserman, who we have his high level throwing balls here. We'll talk about those later. But these are this program, these drills are kind of drills that I've put together from a bunch of different resources. So we'll go ahead and get started. So first, anytime we're going to do a throwing program, right? Like, the throwing is important, but our pre-throw and our post-throw is also very important and is a somewhat overlooked area of throwing. So the first thing, I just want to touch on it. I think I'm going to do a whole other video on pre-throw, post-throw stuff because it would take forever. But some of the equipment that we're working with is our J-bands right here, right? So we have Jaeger bands, right? We have a routine that will knock out here with our Jaeger bands. I'll show you that, like I said, again in another video. I just need a hook, right? Some band work to warm up our shoulder. We have wrist weights, right? So these are just 10-pound wrist weights or ankle weights, right? I picked these up at Walmart. Driveline has some online that are made out of leather. You can get those, right? I use these. And a shoulder tube, right? So my shoulder tube is another kind of, I guess you could say I JUCO hacked this one. Shoulder tubes are about $80. And I wanted to have a bunch of them for my pitchers at college. So I kind of made this. It's PVC with steel tubing on both ends. And you kind of hold it in the middle and you can just shake it, right? And it's used to help warm up the rotator cuff and different muscles in your shoulders, right? We can knock out all kinds of things to warm up our forearms, some too, right? But again, this is something we'll cover in another video. Kind of the pre-throw and post-throw, but that's kind of the equipment that we would use to do it. So the star of this one, the Plyocare balls, I've got sets here for baseball, which I'll throw with because those are the ones I'm most comfortable with. I use them pretty frequently. And then also the high-level throwing lightning balls from Wasserman, right? So these are the only ones I can find, at least, softball size Plyocare balls on the market, right? So all of my athletes in Mavericks have gotten a set, and this is something that I think could really help softball athletes kind of across the country, across the world, right, that haven't been exposed to these kinds of throwing programs. So you can pick these up from High Level Throwing. I'll drop a link at the bottom of the video. Or if you're part of the organization, I've got a couple extra sets. So if you know somebody who would like a set, right, have them give me a call. But the first thing we're going to talk about is how to use them, right? So when you get these, they're kind of flat, right? The first thing we need to do is pump them up, right? So just take a regular, I don't think I have my pump here. Just take a regular, like, pump for a basketball or whatever, right? It's got a little hole in the back. Put it in there, pump it up a little bit so that it's kind of firm, right? We don't want it to be solid, right? But we want it to have some sort of shape to it, right? Like the black one comes and it's usually pretty like condensed, right? So blow it up so it looks like a ball, and then you should be good to go. As far as throwing them goes, we want to find something solid to throw against, right? So like, as you can tell, I'm in my garage here, right? And I've built this little wall to throw against. It's literally just a piece of plywood nailed to the studs in the wall with some 2x6s across it just to make sure we don't go through it. Plywood is okay, but I've found like my guys went through just regular plywood. So we've been throwing some of the 2x4s or 2x6s across it just to make it a little bit more, I guess, more durable. You can also take a rubber mat and throw it on there too. I'll probably do that later. I just kind of put this together and haven't gotten around to it yet. So this works great. Just makes a little bit more noise without the rubber on it. So balls are blown up. I've got a wall, right? We can get to work. So the first drill we're going to talk about is a reverse throw, right? So reverse throws are going to work to help warm up as well as strengthen the posterior shoulder, right? So when we throw the ball, we use our whole body here to like kind of get our arm moving. Once we release it, we have to decelerate our arm, right? For the deceleration to happen, we're using like kind of these little muscles in the back of our shoulder, right? So if those aren't strengthened, right, those aren't in a good place to be able to slow our arm down, right? It could help or it could hinder like our ability to speed up, right? Think about it as like we're driving a car, right? You don't accelerate faster than you can decelerate, right? You got a car that can drive 200 miles an hour, but can only stop at 80, right? Like maybe you'll push it to 82, right? But like you're not going to drive 200 miles an hour. Your body works the same way, right? You're only going to speed up as fast as you can slow down. So this drill kind of helps with that. I'll show you a couple here against the wall, and I'll do some facing the camera as well. So as far as a reverse throw goes, we're going to go throwing knee on the ground. We're going to fake a throw forwards, pull the ball back, and snap it into the wall back here behind us, okay? So I'm going to fake a throw, reach for my toe, snap it back behind me. One more time. Snap it back behind me. Forward. That's going to look like this, right? So we reach forward. Comes to the outside of our foot. We're going to use our shoulders, right, to open up and throw behind us. Now you notice my knee stays tall, right? And I'm opening my chest, right? This is also going to help work with some of the thoracic mobility, right, through our upper back. You're going to see, or you're going to feel kind of tight in this position, right? We want to work on that because we're going to need a lot of that mobility in some of the next drills coming up, right? And just throwing in general. We want to be loose to that area of our body. So there's our reverse throws. The next one we're going to go into is a Bravo drill, right? So Bravo drill, we just talked about some of our thoracic mobility, right? This is another, we're going to work on that. So we're going to pick up our throwing side knee. This time, it's going to point forward towards our target. We're going to put our hand above our shoulder, right? And our elbow pointed towards our target, kind of like in line with our knee. Now we're going to open up our chest again, away, thinking about like showing the wall, right? Or the batter, or whoever we're throwing the ball to, our partner, the back of our shoulder, right? This is why it's called a Bravo drill, right? Like if you don't know who Johnny Bravo is, right? Look up Johnny Bravo. He flexes like this, right? Right? Like Johnny Bravo. So Bravo drill, we're from here. We open once, we open, and then throw, right? We follow through with it. So I'll show you that going forwards into the wall. We're from here. My knee's up. I'm going to hold it over my shoulder. I'm going to open. I'm going to open and throw. Again, open, open, and throw. Okay? This drill will be performed from one knee on the ground with the black ball for baseball guys. For softball players, we're using the softball ones. We're going to use the black ball again from the ground here. And then the reverse throws, right? We're going to use the black ball for both of them, right? And then baseball, we're also going to use the green ball, okay? The next drill we'll go into, right, is just our Bravo drills, but standing up, okay? So we kind of talked about opening up our chest from the ground. Now we're going to stand up. Baseball, we're going to grab the green ball. Softball, we're going to keep using the black ball. We're going to keep our arm tight, right, hand over top our shoulder. Open again, open and throw. So from forwards, this way, right? So I'm left-handed. My left foot is forward. I'm here. I open and throw, right? So with this drill, we're working on a bunch of key things, right? One is kind of that thoracic rotation we were talking about earlier. We're also working a lot on our arm action, right? If you notice, we're super constrained here. I've got my hand over top my shoulder, inside my elbow, right? You can think about putting the ball behind your head, right, before we unwind with it. There's correlation studies, right, showing that people that throw, mostly guys that we're looking at major league pitchers, that throw with their hand coming through inside 90 degrees, right, throw harder than people that come through with their arm outside 90, right? It's called forearm fly out when the arm gets way away from our head. And you can kind of see having the hand in closer gets us more layback, right? We've got more ability to snap it as we come through than we do if we're out here. Okay, so just while we're going through these drills, we're thinking about staying constrained in here. People with a little bit more experience doing them, people who have been running through this a lot, like kind of the guys that I'm working with more one-on-one than like this, right, online. We'll get away from this a little bit once they've gotten pretty good at it and move to like a takeaway phase, right, with our pivot picks or our Bravo drills, right? So this is just kind of where we're going to start from, okay? Moving forward, right, moving right along, we'll go into a row and throw. So a row and throw drill is all about scap retraction, right? So our scap is our shoulder blade, right? This bone in the back of our shoulder, right? So I like to think about it like throwing a punch, right? So if I'm going to throw a punch, am I going to have more power if I throw my punch from here, right? Or from here? The second one, obviously, right? Like all I did was pull my elbow back further, right? Now I'm in a better position, a better launch position to throw a big punch, right? If you watch people in slow motion, a lot of times what we'll see is the arm, the elbow never comes behind the body, right? Especially softball players. I've slowed down a lot of softball players. When we field the ball, right? We don't square up our shoulders, right? We don't ever get away from our target, and our hand never kind of leaves. We don't get any separation or any sort of like scapular load. So we're losing out on all kinds of velocity with our throws. This is a drill to kind of help work on that. So really easy. All we're going to do is take the ball. Softball players, we're going to go down to the blue ball now. Baseball players, we're going to keep using the green one for one set, and then we'll go to the blue one. We're going to take the ball, kind of tuck it like a football, rock it back nice and light, right? I'm not forcing my hand back. We're going to rock it back once, twice, back and hold. Once we have the ball back here, right, so you see how far my elbow is behind me, we're going to step and throw it to our target, right? So row, step and throw. Okay, you can put your glove on for these drills now too. Usually after we get past the Bravos, I have athletes put their gloves on. We're from here, right? Row, step and throw. You can see as I go through this drill, I'm still working on keeping my arm tight, right? So we row, it's back, and it comes right back up, kind of to where that Bravo drill was, right? We're not letting the ball get away from us, right? It stays here, it's tight, it comes through, right? One more time, I'll show you this way. Row, step, and throw. Okay? So that's our row and throw drill. Again, we'll use the green one for guys, green one, and then a set with the blue one, right? So we go down to our 450. Ladies using the softball, we'll use just the blue lightning ball the whole time. Okay? On to the next drill. Okay, so we've covered a lot of kind of arm action stuff, right? We're working on like keeping the ball kind of tight, right? It comes through this window here. Now I want to work on kind of moving, right? Our tempo. We're going to do that I'm going to use the blue ball here for guys. This drill is a shuffle drill, right? So we're going to shuffle back, shuffle forward, and throw the ball into the wall or the net or wherever we're throwing it. Girls, we're going to use the blue one, the green one, and the red one. Okay? The way this works, I'm going to keep the ball probably out of my glove. I'm going to shuffle back one step, load up my back leg, shuffle forward really fast, and throw the ball into the wall. Okay? Now, the point of this is to get us onto our back side, right? So we're behind our front leg as we shuffle forward and moving quickly. All right? So we're looking for, like, once we get back to the back end, we're going to kind of like be heavy is what I usually say to my athletes, right? We're heavy on our back foot coming forward, right? And we're moving quickly. All right? So it'll look like this. So from here, shuffle back, shuffle forward, into the wall. Shuffle back, shuffle forward, into the wall. Okay, I'm trying to stay a little bit close here so I don't leave the camera frame. Usually we'd cover more ground with this, but we want to take a shuffle, right? Load up our backside. It's called staying stacked, right? So we're going to try to keep our midline back here behind our front side, right? Behind my front leg, so that we can stop on our front side, right? We're creating all this momentum going forward. Now we need to stop our body so that we can rotate, right? And put all this force into the ball, right? And help it come out nice and fast. Problems that we usually see with this is people jumping towards their target, right? They lose that stack and they end up out here throwing the ball, right? And then the arm gets away from us as we go through this, right? It's kind of our first drill with some freedom to it. We want to work on staying tight still as we come through the window and thinking about kind of riding out our back leg. Okay? Again, we'd throw 2 with the blue one. Then baseball guys, we'd go to the red one for 2, the yellow one, and then the gray one for 2. Softball players, we start with the blue one for 2, green one for 2. I'm sorry, red one for 2, and then the green one for 2. Okay? And then the last drill that we're going to talk about today for our programming is a walking windup, right, or a GBFB. Okay? So walking windup, baseball players, pitchers, right? We're going to take the blue ball again. It's the same routine as we just did the shuffle throws. We're going to take a couple steps back, kind of come at it like a field goal kicker, right? So we step into it, up to our balance point, right? From here, it's just get after it, right? So once we get up to our balance point, it's just full go, right? Into the wall, moving quickly again, right? 2 throws with each ball. So we're from here, right? Walk into it, balance, into the wall. Walk into it. Okay, we do 2 with the blue one, 2 with the green one. I'm sorry, 2 with the red one, the yellow one, and the gray one. People that aren't pitchers, right, that are still doing this kind of throwing program to work on arm strength, right? Not everybody that wants to throw harder is a pitcher, right? After this, we go into more sport-specific or skill-specific movements for your position, right? So if you're say a center fielder, right, you're going to take the ball, right? So I'll use one of the softball ones. You're going to take the ball, right, and practice like your curl hop run throughs, right? So I'd throw the ball up in the air, catch it, curl hop, and throw the ball into the wall, right? If you're a shortstop, right, obviously you're going to put the ball in your glove, fake a ground ball, right? Come forward, throw it, and throw it into the wall again, right? So we'd start here, we'd field our ground ball, and throw it into the wall, right? 2 with each throw. So that makes it like our least constrained, most sport-specific part of the throwing program. That's about all we're going to cover with plyo balls today in this video. Obviously, we can talk about it more if people have questions, right? I'm happy to do another video or jump on a Zoom call and chat with anybody that wants to talk about this more. But the other thing that we have to cover is programming, right? So like just doing these drills isn't going to make us better. I like to think about it like a sprinter, right? So we're trying to run the fastest 100-meter that we can. As the person that just kind of shows up at the track and runs a couple sprints every day, right? Or the guy that goes out and runs 2 miles around the track every single day, going to be faster than the guy that shows up 3 days a week and runs a structured like 10 sprints as hard as I can on Monday, followed by like some tempo work on a Tuesday, 10 more sprints on a Thursday, right? And it's some tempo like, yeah, the guy who's more structured has an idea of what they're doing with it is probably going to have more success. Obviously, there's a genetic component to that, right? If I'm the one doing the structured work and Nick Chubb, right, is the guy running 2 miles every day, obviously he's going to be faster than me, right? But there's the idea there, right? Like having the program that we're working on, that we're following, right, with the intent to get better, doing this type of work where we've kind of planned it out, right, is going to have more success than just kind of running through the motions, right, and doing some stuff here and there. So as far as programming goes, there's a 10-week programming, 6 days a week, 10 weeks on our website, right, at Mavs Fast Pitch. That's MAVS fastpitch.com. If you go to the top bar, right, and click on throwing program, I have to go to the drop down menu, right, and click on throwing program. It'll take you to a Google Sheets spreadsheet with 10 weeks of programmed out throwing programs in there. Things to talk about with that, right? The number one thing is RPE, right? RPE stands for rate of perceived exertion. So that means how hard can you work today, right? So if I'm at 100%, right? So like my arm's fresh, I just came off a rest day, I'm good to go. My RPE is at 60%, right? It's like a recovery day. I can throw it exactly 60% as hard as I possibly can, right? But say like I threw a pen yesterday and I threw 50 pitches as hard as I could, right? My arm's kind of hanging today. I'm at 70%, right? My arm just doesn't feel great. I'm still only working at like 60% of as good as I feel, right? So I feel 70% good, right? So I'm working at like 60% of that 70%, right? I'm not still working like as hard as I possibly can that 60%, right? So it's all based on feel, right? So if you don't feel good, you only work as hard as you can for that day, right? It's to try to keep the arm from being overworked, right? You get what I'm saying, right? Does that make sense? We don't want to have to this isn't designed to make our arm crazy sore every single day, right? There's a point behind the throwing days. We don't want to open it up too many times so that we're just always hanging, right? This is like we're gonna throw hard twice a week, right? Usually 3 times in a 10-day period, right? And the other like 7 days are designed to help us throw harder on those 3 days that we're throwing hard, right? They're called our high intent days, right? So following the RPE, right? If you have a 60% RPE day today, you can't just go out and throw 100%, right? Because you're not going to be ready for your next high intent day, right? That might be the next day or 2 days later, right? There's a whole method to this, right? If you don't follow the RPE, it's not going to work, right? Your arm's just always going to hurt because you're throwing the ball too hard, right? A lot of these drills that I just showed you are used as warm-ups, right? We use these as warm-up drills, and then we go through our long toss progression, right? And kind of warm up even further, right, with those. My goal for my guys, right, when we're pitching is to have their arm ready to go before they pick up a baseball, right? They shouldn't pick up a baseball and try to get loose, right? They should pick up the ball almost ready to like get on the mound and throw, right? Obviously, we're going to go into our long toss program and stuff, right? But they shouldn't feel tight when they go to throw a baseball. We want their arm to be loose and ready, right, for throwing because it's an unnatural movement, right? If we don't loosen up and get ready for it, that's where our risk of injury, right, goes up. So RPE, crazy important, right? And then also the long toss progressions, kind of how we mentioned. There's 2 different types, right? We follow like an Alan Jagger long toss program, right? The extension compression type of long toss program. So the extension phase, right? We're going to throw the ball with air under it, right? Up in the air, out to our partner with loft, right? We're going to work our way out with loft. Okay, so we're not throwing anything as hard as we can straight line yet, right? This is extension. Throw it up in the air, get it out there. That'll happen on our hybrid B days, right? So we stop there, right, on hybrid Bs. We extension long toss, and then we call it quits. On compression days, right, hybrid A days, right, or whether we're going into like a velocity day, right? Usually we'll do a couple compressions on a velocity day too. After we get out to that full extension, we're going to crow hop, right, or run forward, or come out of our balance point and throw the ball as hard as we can on a straight line. Okay, this is one of those high intent days that we're talking about. Hybrid A's are like our first experience really with high intent days for people in a new program. They're on our on-ramp program, as you can tell if you're looking at the spreadsheet online, right? So extension, we're reaching, right? We're stretching it out, right? Throwing long, usually at like 80% tops, right? Kind of as far as we can, right? Up in the air at 80%. Compressions, right, are where we're going to really let it rip, right? Open up the arm and throw it as hard as we can on a straight line, right? Now, we shouldn't be able to like hit our partner in the air on a straight line after our extension phase, right? Like we should be further away than we can throw it in a straight line. So we'll probably like 1 hop it, 2 hop it to our partner from here. And we'll kind of work our way in as we go with that. Usually after the extension phase with pitchers, right, we'll go to a little bit of like touch and feel. Like after we extend, we'll bring it back in and guys can kind of spin some pitches to their partner, right, in kind of a short pen, flat ground, maybe like work on our curveball, right, or try to work on the spin, kind of the spin efficiency of our two seamer or whatever we're trying to do for the day. So there's some feel there. After we finish the throwing program for the day, right, whether it be with compressions, right? Or we go into like our pen, or we just finish practice, right? If we're not a pitcher, right? We just finish practice. We go into our post throw, right? So the post throw program, we kind of hit the same similar type of equipment stuff, right? So we're gonna do our J bands again. I'll have a stretch band, right? We'll knock out some stretch bands. We're gonna do some forearm stuff with a piece of PVC pipe. Then we're gonna do the shoulder tube again, right? And then just some basic stretching, right, to limber up. Well, like I said, I'll hit the pre-throw, post-throw again in another video. But that's kind of what I have for today. Again, if you have any questions about this, feel free to shoot me an email. My email is in the link below. And have a good time. Hope you enjoyed it.